that you still need to wear masks.
Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nadex Morning Analysis as we're chattering in the background about the vaccine and masks.
Oh, yeah.
but, but before we start today's session, let me do a quick little introduction. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me this morning is Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Before we do kick this off, I need to share that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, and that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. Lastly, this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We're doing this for your education purposes. Okay, with that, let's turn this off. There's some things that have happened over the weekend. One, the Brexit story has waxed and waned, and the markets move very quickly once some implied news comes out. And then we'll also talk a little bit about the U.S. Brian and I were chatting. We still have there's some good news. One, the vaccine is being distributed. People are going to start taking it today. Although even if you take the vaccine, you're still going to need a mask.
Yeah.
Which is what we were saying. And then today's the day for the Electoral College, so maybe some uncertainty will be coming out of the political landscape. But let's go ahead and start off. You want to give us a quick little rundown on what's gone on with the Brexit over the weekend while I bring up a chart?
Sure. Yeah. And, as I mentioned last week, really until we go into, 2011, until like the last day, Brexit could literally be done at the last moment. And that's what happened this weekend. They kind of went back to the negotiating table, talking again. And there was positive news. And every day, if we see positive or negative, we're going to see shifts in the pound. And that's just, we're literally, I mentioned it, we are literally going to do this on the night before the final day. I would be really surprised if we got it done before then. So last week it was all no deal. We can't come to a conclusion. We'll just prepare for the no deal. And then obviously the next day they kind of flip back again. Right now, the news from this morning is that pretty much everything is agreed upon minus the fisheries. And that's always been one of the biggest issues about those fishing rights and things. Now, again, I don't know all the specifics about it, about who wants what, but they're saying it needs to be fair across the board. But it's been fisheries and Ireland have been the two big kind of hot buttons for Brexit. But right now it looks great. You're seeing some, and again, some of the news that we're seeing out there, and even news quotes saying that, if Brexit gets done, they could see, the pound dollar going to like 140. Again, huge jump. So everybody's preparing for this kind of big move, which makes it a little bit more difficult to trade. Now, at the same time, we're seeing positive negotiations. Again, it is a Monday. I don't think we're getting anything done today. But what I would expect is a bit of a retrace, kind of like what we've seen in the dollar, where Monday goes one direction and then kind of Tuesday and Wednesday, we kind of slowly fall back again. I will say some of the other news this morning, in particular with the UK, is they're saying that in London, the coronavirus numbers are off the charts, that they're getting ready to go into like the full lockdown phase with bars, restaurants, everything closing down. So they're starting to shut their economy. And that's also kind of, again, counterbalanced with what we're seeing in Europe. Italy is getting ready to put new restrictions as well. Italy just, again, passed the UK for the worst death toll. So, it just seems like it keeps coming back around. So although the vaccine is positive, that shipping and people are taking it, at least for the next month, it's not going to make any difference because you need to have two shots for it to kick in, and it's only for a very, very small part of the population. So I would say there's a lot of conflicting things here. There's no economic news, but again, look for kind of retraces in the euro pound and as well as the pound dollar.
So I've got the Nadex charts up. We're having some slight difficulties with Brian's charts today, which could be related to the Google outage. I don't know.
Yeah, Google and YouTube were down. My kids didn't know what to do with themselves this morning.
And so I think they're still trying to sort through some of that. But in any case, here we can actually see, going into Friday, there was no deal. And the euro pound was just going through the roof. Over the weekend, we see that starting to retrace as it appears cooler heads may prevail. And then we had this gap lower as it looked like, okay, maybe they are going to solve this. We have seen some retracement. There was this level from last week down around 90.40 where it got close to it and it retraced. This morning, I think, Brian, you were saying if it got up to this 91.40-ish level.
Yeah, that's one area where there's definitely some sellers stepping in. Whenever there's a gap, there's obviously some type of an imbalance in the market, and again, that's where the kind of the basically the sellers stepped into that pair. So I mean, it's been shown that it has turned and flipped from that level. And again, it's just something. Again, I'm keeping it on my radar. If price comes up to there, again, filling that would be
Yep.
kind of a sign for me to take a short.
What could they do? Right. If you were to try to take a short, there is a knockout in there that could be interesting if it got up in that range. Outside of knockouts, we have our call spreads that we just listed for the week. Let's just take a look at the euro pound. We can look at the daily. You know what? Let's look at the
I would
daily.
look at the weekly for this one.
All right.
Yeah,
No, that
the only
helps.
reason I would look at for the weekly is because again, it is positive, and if they've removed everything, if we get news, say, I don't know, Wednesday, that we have another agreement in principle, right? We had that last week, and there was a huge move to the downside. There would be a big move to the down as well if we had an agreement in principle, or a signed deal.
Right. So in that regard, there are definitely some call spreads that would be interesting. Again, here you're not knocked out if it goes through the upper boundary of the call spread, but and you've got that time to be right. And if things are going to be great, you can take a look at some different. Um, there's
That one's
actually
closer to where we turned last week on the top side as well.
yeah, so there could be a short play in the call spreads in the euro pound, depending upon news that comes out and how the market ultimately interprets it. Um, Again, I would also wager to say that some of these call spreads and knockouts are one great way to do it, but binaries as well. It's been moving through multiple levels very quickly.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big mover when it comes, and that's
Right.
we will probably blow right out of the binary list at that point.
Let's keep moving along this morning. I know.
Sure.
Let's take a look at oil quickly before we
Oil
look
was
at
a big
US
mover last week.
markets.
And
So,
OPEC is OPEC is keeping their fingers on the pulse of oil very, very closely. Last week we saw an absolutely huge surplus number of 15.5 million barrels, and then immediately OPEC's like, we're calling a meeting. We're calling a meeting because they're trying to figure out how to adjust supply. With that said, over the weekend, it did rally back up again. We had that really, really big move last week when we heard that we were sending B-52s to Iran. People were very concerned about that. It shot oil up from 46 all the way up to 47.50, and then we kind of pulled back down again into the 46.40 level. Now, since that time, it has kind of started to rally back up again. And again, this may be that election is done. They're shipping things. They're shipping the vaccine out, that it's been approved. I mean, those are positive signs that the economy will start restarting again. But at the same time, if you look at the COVID numbers, we're still right up in that all-time high range. The 7-day totals are absolutely horrible. And again, the vaccine is going to the most in need, who are not necessarily the ones that are driving the economy either. So, again, Christmas spirit, election down, that's good. Again, we're approaching that 47.50 to 47.71-ish level where last time sellers stepped in to stop that Iran B-52 news. Which we haven't heard anything since that time. But again, it could be a potential area, and we're already starting to see a little bit of a bounce back to the downside off of it. But I think downside-wise, I think we need to watch out for 46.20 as a potential bounce area to the down. Again, that's 80 cents lower.
hold on. Let's and when we're doing that, I mean, right now we got the binaries up here. If we're going to see something completely fall down, it might be a more compelling. Let's just bring up the knockouts chart while we're talking about it. Real quickly.
It could be. Yeah, I mean, again, knockouts on Mondays are always great things because it gives us an extra long duration on this one.
All right, so let's just. I'm going to shrink that down. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
no problem. Yeah, unfortunately, that's in my, again, this is my experience. Maybe I lose negative Nadex points, but the knockouts on this one seem like they're quite far away. Especially this early in the week, it seems like we're quite far away for the knockouts on this one. So again, this would be, I think, more of whether a call spread or a binary would probably be a better option because we're kind of sitting in the middle of all the contracts already.
All right, so in that line, let's just take a look at the. Let's just. Well, I didn't want to look at gold. I wanted to look at oil.
You're drawing and driving
I
there.
got a little click happy
Somebody
there.
cue the gold member music. Todd likes go.
Nice. So, right. So,
Movie rights on Nadex.
nice. By the way, you have lovely singing voice. Yeah, well, they'd have to take a look in here on the different levels on the call spreads.
Yeah.
But oil definitely interesting. I guess you're looking for, it's already starting to roll over a bit. You might see an extension of that through the day, but we'll see what happens when the markets open. The equity markets. Let's take one last look. In fact, the U.S. Cash equities, everything's a bit higher. And again, I think that could be because of the vaccine shipping. It could also be that some uncertainty might be coming out of the markets. So who knows? But we are seeing the stock market show some positivity, which is kind of nice. I don't know if there's a particular play one way or the other. If if people are going to try to sell the open or short the open, or who knows? I don't know. Or do you think this thing's going
Yeah,
to
it's hard. There's no.
going higher?
So this is a very kind of anemic week again for news. There's really nothing Monday, Tuesday. There's basically nothing, and then we really don't get any of the flash, manufacturing and services data until Wednesday. So it's kind of one of those ones. It's how are people feeling over the weekend? What is the early kind of, I don't know, the early tone from the news and media sources. I don't think anything crazy happened. And remember, I guess we did start Hanukkah, so there is some at least positive holiday celebration. People are feeling good type, momentum out there as well. Which again, with lack of any type of bad economic news, those are all things about being positive and again, things pushing higher.
Yep. Well, I mean, we gapped on the open. We've kind of trended sideways. Who knows? Maybe they try to fill that gap before they rally higher. So there'll be some opportunities. Keep an eye on U.S. equity indexes.
Yeah, and I mentioned it. I'm going to give one more plug real quick. I know we're getting close on time here, but I do want to say one of the things I do like watching. And again, this is kind of, I don't talk about it as often, but if you guys go over to Daily FX, it's always nice that Daily FX has kind of their Wall Street kind of IG client sentiment. I can't share it, unfortunately, because of the Google issue. It's going to be too fuzzy, but it's always nice to see the market going higher because you can see that as far as the IG client sentiment goes, the Wall Street is it's mixed, but yet 74 is net short. Okay, when the entire majority tends to be in one direction, you tend to see it go the opposite way. So it's interesting how that works out.
Yep. All right. One thing I do want to point out: if you go to the Nadex website and you go to our webinar section, you'll find that learning webinars. Later this week, this Thursday, we are hosting a Nadex day trading bootcamp. So you can go there. You can register. It's going to be a 3-hour day. You sign up for all of them. You can come and go as you please. But it's all going to be about day trading skills. We do have Guy Adami from CNBC's Fast Money kicking us off, he's going to talk about the trader mindset. I will be going through some of Nadex products and tools for short-term price action, kind of a bit of what we do today, but we actually do some education around the products themselves. And then my colleague, Dan Cook, is going to be wrapping it up with some day trading strategies using Nadex products. And he's going to talk about how you can mix and match some of our products and take advantage of opportunities where you can play in either highly volatile or in markets where there's no volatility, trying to find that opportunity as well. Brian, anything else people should be keeping an eye out for this week as we kick it off?
Like I said, OPEC has their emergency meeting on Wednesday, so definitely we'll talk before then. But I'd also be looking. I think gold is going to have some interesting movements this week as well. It's just the way that it's lining up, the way it's moving around. I think gold could be one that we talk about. And again, just to remind everybody, we'll be looking at later.
Excellent. All right. With that, if you have any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. Follow us on our social media. Pay attention to our YouTube channel, which hopefully YouTube and Google solve these problems that they had this morning and last night. And set reminders for these sessions. You can set a reminder. I am going to mention, though, we won't be doing one Wednesday, unfortunately, but we will be here tomorrow morning. So we'll see you back tomorrow morning. If you've got any questions for Brian, you can email him, support@keeptradingsimple.com. And I think that gives you a good way to start the week, some things to be definitely looking out for. Thank you for joining us this morning. Want to wish everyone good luck in the markets.